So a new, very interesting Nintendo Switch 2 report that has to deal with the reveal time of this console and a potential launch time frame, in addition to some kind of standalone event that Nintendo may use to market this console, similar to what we saw them do in January of 2017 for the Switch 1, has just hit the internet, and this is definitely worth talking about in my opinion, as it comes to us from one of the more credible names within the industry when it comes to inside talk and chatter that goes on in the background, and this is none other than Nate the Hate. Not going to claim any insider has a perfect track record, as when certain people talk about things early, plans do internally shift and change, but Nate the Hate is not somebody to take to the internet just to throw things at the wall wildly, and is sometimes totally off. I mean, we do see those one-off misses, but for the most part, when Nate the Hate does come forward with some actual information that they are hearing from developers, we end up seeing that happen. And we might also now know about an additional, let's say, 3DS kind of easy, simple port to support the Nintendo Switch software side of things, as Nintendo continues to deliver more ports and remasters to pad out the rest of their release schedule for the current console, while they shift on focusing things to the next console. So there's a lot to unpack in this video. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And with that, we'll hop right into the info after a quick message from today's video sponsor. Cowabunga, ladies and gentlemen, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are making their debut in Hero Wars. Thanks to a massive collaboration between Paramount Pictures and Nexters, these amazing heroes are bringing their ninja skills to the world of Dominion. And this is way more than a simple character update. It's a top-tier gaming journey you'll want to be a part of. Prepare to jump into action with the Turtles by your side from December 2nd to December 22nd. Hero Wars is hosting an exclusive event featuring the Ninja Turtles. Explore their exciting story, uncover a bunch of hidden secrets, and fight alongside these legendary warriors. Don't miss on your chance to recruit the Turtles to your team absolutely free. Growing up as a lifelong Turtles fan, this truly elevates the action-packed gameplay of Hero Wars to another level for me. That's right, it's 100% no cost to add these heroes to your lineup, but that's just the beginning. Be ready for exclusive time-limited offers, including Shredder and Casey Jones skins that will give your team the extra edge. With heaps of bonuses and rare rewards up for grabs, this event is a must-play. Turtles will be available to obtain only during this event, and once you get them in your team, they will stay with you forever. Set your reminder, call your friends, and jump into fun. You can play Hero Wars your way on mobile devices through iOS or Android, or directly in your browser for instant action. This is your chance to be part of an unforgettable adventure. See you in Hero Wars with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's make some epic memories. Thanks again to Hero Wars for sponsoring this video. Download it and get Ninja Turtles for free right now. So to first talk about the potential reveal time frame, and I do want to very much emphasize that this part seems like informed speculation on Nate's part, because he's not saying that he's heard for sure timing around when Nintendo will give us that first look trailer at the console, but rather is utilizing what Nintendo's done so far in terms of tying big announcements to their next gen console to their investors briefings as kind of the loose guide of the timeline of when we should expect a console reveal, which he believes would be late January, early February most likely. And we now actually have an official date for Nintendo's next 9-month earners investors report, which will be taking place on February 4th. And while it doesn't mean that the console will be revealed that exact day, right around that time frame, meaning like the week before that investors briefing takes place, or the day of, or immediately following, is when we would most likely see the reveal of Nintendo's next-gen successor hardware. That kind of first look-esque trailer that we saw back in October of 2016 for the original Switch. And while Nintendo doesn't have to stick to the exact same timeline from their first look trailer to the ultimate launch, it would make sense if you kind of stick closely to that, as clearly the launch strategy worked out very well for them with the Switch 1, and they may want to stick close to that same kind of format. Now, he did then go on to mention how he is hearing industry chatter, and he goes out of his way to say this is not gospel, it's not 100% something that is going to come to pass, but no doubt what is being briefed to partners right now in terms of a loose timeline on what to expect for Nintendo is a late May or early June launch time for the Switch 2 console. Now, this lines up exactly with what we talked about recently from a Nintendo report, where they said they had 6 different development studios, all with contacts at each one of those, confirmed to them that June was actually the time frame that they were hearing to have their games ready to go for Nintendo's next-gen platform. This is right in line, although he is saying late May, early June as a potential launch time for this console. And again, this would also line up with the kind of loose timeline timeline you would expect if they were to reveal the hardware in late January, early February, if you compare it to how they handled the Switch 1 launch. Now, what is one piece of big, somewhat exclusive information, because we haven't really seen anybody else on the internet suggest this, is the idea that Nintendo is planning some kind of major event in May, specifically regarding the Switch 2, and this could be somewhat similar to what we saw the Switch 1 have in January, with kind of that blowout event where we learn a lot more about the games lineup for the launch lineup of the console. It could be very much in line with that. There's some speculation online that maybe this is more tied to a local in-person type of thing that press and media and even potentially the public could go to, such as a PAX East that is happening for the first time in history event in May this year. Could Nintendo have basically reserved a booth with them and said, hey, listen, in the month of May, we're marketing our next generation hardware and we would like to have some units ready for hands-on attraction for your event? And maybe that's the reason they're actually delaying PAX East to May, because it would normally happen quite a bit sooner than that, like April or March time. So that is on the table and a possibility, but I still think Nintendo holds their own like big dedicated event that outlines all of their first party software around the launch window, details any kind of those new, more nuanced, in-depth questions about how the system handles backwards compatibility and any kind of loose feature explanations that we need to see. What kind of evolution of HD Rumble is there in the next generation Joy-Cons? Like, that could be the time frame potentially to learn about all of that. And if that is held at some point in the month of May, whether it aligns with PAX East or not, they may also just have some live demos there that people can check out, and Nintendo's going to market that as like the first chance for the general public to get their hands on something like a Switch 2 console and get some early play sessions on the upcoming software that will be launching for the console. So all highly plausible stuff. Nothing sounds out of the left field or unbelievable. And I do think that now that we're in this situation where we have until the end of March 31st to learn about this console, because that's the clock that Nintendo put on themselves. They said they were making an official announcement by the end of the fiscal year that we are in currently, which ends March 31st, 2025. We know time is ticking and we don't have much longer to wait either way. We're already well into December by the time you're watching this video. And so whether the reveal happens early in January or later into February, it's going to happen sometime soon. The worst case scenario would be March, but I still think all these events, like a May event, would line up even if we have to learn about the console from a first look trailer a little bit later than we expect. Interestingly, Nate has also heard the same kind of rumors that we've been talking about on the channel, such as the overwhelmingly large day one console launch stock target. Like, Nintendo, according to him, is targeting somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 million units worldwide to have available day one, significantly bigger than the Nintendo Switch launch and just about any other console launch in history. This would really be Nintendo flooding the market, making sure that plenty of consoles are available for just about anybody who wants them. It might not totally save the scalping situation, but it will probably drastically cut it down if you're just literally pumping out that many units. And this also lines up with some pretty exciting Foxconn reports that we still have to walk through in an entirely separate video. That gets more into the logistics of how many units are getting moved around and potentially even already mass assembled and sent to Nintendo in bulk, but we're saving that for a separate topic. But very interesting that we're seeing numerous data points from a lot of different names within the industry, all kind of corroborating this exact same strategy that, to be fair, Nintendo told us would be their strategy to prevent scalping in the first place. And so to kind of round out the Switch 2 portion of this conversation, it does seem like May to June time for the launch, and a first look trailer as soon as the end of January or early February is likely what we are looking at here, providing there are no last minute changes or a shift of internal plans. It does seem like this is what partners are being told at this point in time, since we have it from so many different sources. But again, if you like to err on the side of caution, just wait until Nintendo officially communicates it to us. But we know the time's coming near either way. And lastly, I want to tackle the piece of information that's a new first-party Nintendo Switch piece of software that will no doubt be headed to the current family of systems. And this is none other than Kirby Planet Robobot. So been a little bit since we've had a Kirby game. Kirby's almost an annual franchise for Nintendo at this point. This will be another 3DS pick to put on the Nintendo Switch. I did not pick up this game or play through it at all on the 3DS, so it will absolutely be a game that I pick up for my library. I am hopeful that Nintendo doesn't just straight up do a lot of more of the simple 3DS ports at that $60 price point, like we've seen them do for Luigi's Mansion 2 HD and Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which there's kind of a whole separate controversy about that because it might be the 3DS version of that Donkey Kong game. It doesn't quite look as good visually with some of the textures as the Wii version. I'm not going to nitpick that game. I absolutely love it, and I'm a huge Donkey Kong Country fan, so I'm going to pay that ridiculous price. But I do think there's a conversation to be had, maybe a more in-depth video one day on how Nintendo is pricing some of their 3DS ports that should clearly be kind of that $40-50 price point at the very highest, no higher than that. And the $60 stuff for some of these more simple remaster projects do seem to be a little bit on the high end, and I'm definitely on that side of the thought process. But that is interesting info to have because we had a rumored 3DS game and a Wii game from PH Brazil. This could be that 3DS game, which leaves you to wonder what's the Wii game that hasn't been announced. But it also shows that Nintendo is not afraid to go into their back catalog on any console, 3DS specifically being a big target right now for a lot of those port remaster projects. Same thing with the GameCube era games and some of the Wii era games like we've talked about. Like, those games just look good enough already that if you do an HD up-res and you do some better textures and you maybe even rework some things from the lighting engine slightly, you're pretty much looking at a nice modern piece of playable software, and Nintendo knows that, and you know, they're asking $60 for just about each one of them. But we'll see how this all unfolds. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about all of these different new pieces of information regarding Nintendo Switch 2 and the potential reveal timeline and the launch timeline. Are you on board with it? Does it sound right to you? Do you think that maybe there's still a chance that a January reveal and a March launch, like we saw from that one Chinese forum user rumor, is actually on the table here? Or do you think that, yeah, summertime, or I guess late spring, that May-June timeframe is the most likely to see Nintendo launch their hardware? And do you think anything coincides with PAX East, or do you think this is just a standalone Nintendo-focused event that Nintendo puts on themselves to market this console in a deep dive for the first time? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.